You know that feeling when you're about to score 30% off, but they want your number? Ugh. Give them your Line 2 number instead. It's a second line on your phone, perfect for nabbing promo codes without inviting spam to your party. Sign up for every discount under the sun, then block the junk texts that follow. You get all the perks, but none of the spammy baggage. More codes, less chaos. Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store and get your shopping sidekick today. Because the only thing blowing up your phone should be good deals.
Welcome back. It's a brand new episode. This is Laugh With Me and Podcast with Jeremy Odem. I'm your host, J.O. And I'm here. It's Eric Larson week, which means I'm here with Eric Larson. How you doing, buddy?
This is quite the honor. I mean, never even been on the show, and now I get to come on here and have a whole week dedicated to me.
Well, it's no surprise. Actually, it's probably a big surprise to everybody in the audience. It's no surprise to me, though. It is your birthday week, right?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny giving you a little applause. Yeah, see.
I'm blushing.
That's the thing. It's your birthday. You're what? 27?
Yeah.
32? Somewhere in there. It's exciting.
Still in the double digits. Haven't hit triples yet.
Well, that's a huge win. We haven't had you on in a few weeks, and in fact, last time I had you on, we were going to talk about your Europe stories, and don't pay attention to that. So I've got sound deadening cushions in the studio.
Yeah, you
and
rattled it with your intro.
I saw Eric looking behind me, and I look behind me, and one might think, oh, he's looking at the Macho Man, because the Macho Man is here. He's on the wall, but no, one of the cushions fell. I've been battling that. I get these like sticky strips, and I put them behind the cushions, and then I stick them on the wall, and I'll come down here to like record an episode, and 3 of them are laying on the ground. Like, what more can I do?
Staple them on.
Staple them to the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to staple them to the wall.
I mean, isn't that the advantage of having a house?
Yeah, but what if someday I'm selling the house? I have staples in the wall?
Everybody has a podcast now.
That's true. just leave the cushions up for the next guy.
Name the listing podcast house.
Okay. But does everybody have a podcast that currently ranks 73rd in the top 100 of iTunes comedy shows? The answer is no. Thank you, Johnny.
I mean, but you have to assume that there's at least 72 other podcasts.
Yeah, there's 72 ahead of us, but we're working on catching that. So the last time you were on, I was like, oh, let's talk about your Europe stories. Like, this is great. Like, I love hearing about your travels. And I had so many questions in regards to the things you were talking about. We never even got to your stories. And I didn't even realize it until we were done recording. And then you're like, I didn't even hit my stories.
I wrote really good notes here.
You do. You have great notes. You're like, leave this here. I'll come back to it. Notes untouched.
Yeah, there's even dust on them.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're not. What do you want to vacuum it? No, it's as is, just like you said. So we left it, and hopefully we'll get around to talking to your stories this time. What have you been up to?
Just living and thriving.
Living and thriving. What does that entail?
Well, a lot of regret. I mean, you mentioned that. You mentioned birthday. Mm-hmm. You ever heard of the golden birthday?
I've heard of it. I couldn't tell you which birthday is the golden one.
So the golden birthday is, from what I understand, it's the birthday that corresponds with the day of the month that you were born.
Okay.
With how old you are.
Okay.
So my birthday's on the 3rd.
Yep.
So my golden birthday would have been when I was 3.
Okay.
So I never, my parents didn't do anything for it. It's like they didn't even care.
Right. So you've been living with that for a long time.
Yeah, but I've known some people, back in my 20s, that did have golden birthdays, and I mean, it was a big thing. They'd have a golden sash. They would go out for drinks.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it was almost. I will preface this. I don't know of any men that have had a golden birthday.
Because you and I, is this a new concept? Because
I feel like
we've
this is
known each other a long time, and you've never brought this up before. I know some people.
I feel like this was a ladies' thing, and especially on those 20s. Hey, I mean, if you're getting this between 21 and like 30, I mean, this is probably a big deal.
You've got to acknowledge that you were 3 when you had your golden birthday.
Yeah.
Now, I would have been 20. You never brought that up to me, that I was missing out on my golden moment.
We did have kind of a golden birthday party for you.
We did?
I'm pretty sure. Wasn't that the year we went to Hooters and you got the buy 10 wings and fries and get 10 free?
That was a hell of a deal. That was a hell of a deal.
Yeah. That was fantastic. I mean, that was... Because I feel like Hooters was founded, I think if we look this up, it was founded in 1983, which may or may not have anything to do with your birthday.
It probably does. And it's kind of random. I mean, and it's just so random, too. You and I just had dinner at Hooters. We watched the first round of the NFL draft there. Hooters is in some financial issues currently where, there's some franchisees that are maybe going out of business, blah, blah, blah. What would you say is the one thing hurting Hooters right now, and not allowing them to thrive?
I mean, it could be the fact that you have to charge $18 for 10 wings anymore.
That might be something.
I mean, that might be pushing it.
You're not getting the wings and fries deal. I still stand by their curly fries are pretty damn good.
I mean, the food was good. The food was good. If you guys ever find yourself in Omaha, stop by the Hooters.
Yep, it is in La Vista.
Great, slightly overpriced food.
It's actually a nice little restaurant.
Yeah, they kind of want to push you out the door. I feel like they didn't want us to stay.
They didn't. They cut us off.
Yeah, they cut us off.
We had 3 beers?
Well, we had 2. We had 2 big beers.
2 big beers.
And then we were told that to have another big beer, we had to get permission from the boss.
So it's a point system.
Yeah.
So it behooves you to walk into Hooters and just know you were to act completely sober at all times. Because if you were to just be a little too loud, the points could get jacked up in a heartbeat. It's kind of like Around the Horn on ESPN. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
And he's just giving guys random points. The
but
manager at Hooters can do that.
If you cross Rialti, he'll... That guy's vindictive.
But that's how the Hooters manager is. So if he doesn't like you or the waitress doesn't like you, I'm going to go on a limb and assume that the Hooters gals are driving the business to some lackey that they have to use for muscle, and he has a manager name tag. That's it. The women are driving this thing, but there's some guy having to be the muscle in that joint, and they're certainly not paying for security because, well, look, they're having the financial issues. So I'm going to assume there's some guy that has manager on his name tag, and he's there literally just to jack up points and to be security. That's all I'm saying.
This is even more regret that's getting stacked on here.
What?
Because as you know, back in high school, I mean, I would have considered becoming a fry cook, a wing fryer.
I remember that.
At Hooters. And if I would have known that career path could have led to being Mr. Manager.
You could have been Mr. Manager.
Of a Hooters?
It's just manager. Okay, Mr. Manager.
Like, if I would have known that was a real,
Yep.
This is even worse than the misconnection of me not getting a job in radio.
Yeah.
Like, I always call that my pivot point in my life of, I didn't take a call. I got a call when I was on the air, college radio, talking to me like, hey, I put in for a job. I did not pursue it because somebody else at the station that night told me, no, it's somebody playing a prank on you. You and Grant both got jobs from that same guy I thought was a prank.
It actually was pretty.
And I always say that was like a pivot point because, well, crap, like that would have been employment in the radio industry. I could have had a podcast.
You could have been the first one in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have had a podcast.
I would have been the tallest. I would have been the first one in.
Yeah.
Best looking.
Yep. You blew it. And the thing is, at that time in our lives, young. What were we? 20, 21, somewhere in there, right?
Same age as Hooters.
We didn't know about recruiting and about people just calling you or people finding you in your workplace. Like,
think of how quaint that sounds even just now to like the audience.
Right, yeah.
I wouldn't even answer a phone call now.
Yeah.
But back here, like I need to be on guard. Like
on guard.
Not only would I need to answer the phone, but I would need to know that this could be an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. People were just calling you and being like, "Hey, I've got a job for you. What do you think? Here's my name, Pauly Chronopoulos," which sounds ridiculous.
Yep.
Turns out, real dude.
Yep.
I'm just so happy that Grant got into it because then I was able to, but I still don't understand why you didn't get into it when I did. Like, it seems like the same time frame that you would have, like, still had the same opportunity and jumped in, like when Grant got me hooked up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that timeline exactly. Because I think I was roommates with Grant.
Yeah.
When he was doing stuff for that radio group, so.
Too busy knocking on his door late at night.
yeah. Making those big retail dollars. You know?
Yeah, the retail dollars.
But now I'm vindicated for this.
You are 100%.
Because that would have been second or third life option. I could have been Hooters manager. Now that's my big regret.
Yeah,
Mr. Manager.
I still think that could be an option.
You think? Wait, you talking career pivot at my age?
Well.
I guess my birthday isn't until Saturday. I've got 2 days here to get this done.
Here's what I'm thinking. People sometimes will look at like your birthday as like a pivotal moment. Like some people see New Year's as that, right?
You know, Pitbull.
New Year.
Mostly Pitbull.
Mostly Pitbull and Pitbull fans, Mr. Worldwide. Here's the thing. When you're looking at like those moments in your year where you're thinking about where you're at in your life and what do I do from here? What have I done in the past? A lot of people will look at their birthday that way. Sometimes it's a level of celebration, right? Like we're going golfing on your birthday on Saturday, right? That's a level
celebrating
of
that
celebrating.
now. It'll be a little bit of depression after the round of just like, man, why'd I get so bad during the winter?
No, we're gonna get back to that. But right now, I want to talk about this pivot.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt the inspirational.
We're gonna get back to that because I don't believe in that. But the thing is, it's your pivotal moment. It's your moment. It's a fork in the road. Where do I go? Am I just gonna? It's my birthday. Hey, happy birthday to me, or do I say, today's the day I make a change. Today's the day that I follow my dream, which is to be the fry cook at the Hooters. And I don't think that's a bad dream at all. I don't know. You got a few days to think about it. The offer's on the table, basically. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this happen. That's my promise to you.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
Yeah, I would be too.
Like
I would.
This
be
could
too.
change my life.
It will change your life 100%. For better or worse, it will 100% change your life. But back to the golf, man. You can't have a round of golf, for better or for worse, and walk away at the end and be like, man, that sucked. What the hell?
No. You can't walk away with that. You can walk away from a stroke and feel like that.
Yeah. You can't talk or use half your face.
No.
Oh, you're talking about
stroke.
Golf stroke.
Easy there.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know. We're old. I just... just thinking.
Do you ever notice, or at least for me, the golf round normally follows the same kind of bell curve that bowling would.
Yeah, I can see
which feels like, bowling, it's always first game's bad, second game's better, third game's the best, and then fourth game is worse than the first game.
You bottom out hard.
Yeah, and the beer consumption is going on throughout it.
Yep.
And I kind of feel like that's how the golf round goes.
Yeah.
First hole is pretty bad. Then by about hole 4, you're like, all right, I'm starting to get it. You run into that sweet spot between like 7 and 14, 7 and 15, where you're just like, everything's clicking. Like, I could be really, really good at golf this year. Like, this could be the year that I finally
year.
I might be going for an amateur spot at the Masters next year if I
Yeah.
keep golfing like this.
Well, let's consider the Open because everybody has a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Masters maybe someday.
But then you hit 15, you're cracking open your 7th beer of the day.
Yep.
The cart behind you is ordering you a shot of gin because they hate you for golfing so well. And everything falls apart. You can't drive, you can't chip, you can't putt.
When's the last time you golfed?
It would have been right before I left Atlanta. Oh, no, draft day. Day.
Okay. I was good. That was the last
That
time I
was the
golfed
last
as well.
time.
So last August.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to get out there, and I have no intentions of hitting a driving range or anything before then. One, I'm just too busy with work and whatnot. I'm sure you got the resume going to Hooters, like you've got a lot going on. So probably an interview, but yeah,
I'm going to spend a lot of time with my air fryer the next 2 days.
There you go.
I mean, it's not the same thing that they would use at Hooters. They'd use real grease, but I mean, that's messy. I don't want that around my apartment.
You're going to revolutionize. You're going to end up doing this and revolutionizing Hooters altogether because you're going to bring commercial air fryer to the
Yes.
business, and
You know,
that's
Hooters is
the
going to
game.
be like, hey, we're all about beer and fried food. And I'm going to be like, what if there was a calorie conscious way to be around? Like,
And what if we got it to your table in 7 minutes? Like that's the thing. Like you're thinking, elevate the game for the customer and the consumer. Like how do I not only help the weight and the health of this person? How do I get their food faster? How do I allow them to not hit their max of points within an hour so that they can't drink any more beers? And how do I still get the waitress to make the same money she was making despite all this? You've just put a new business plan together.
And I mean, you got to admit too, as a manager, as somebody who's managed people, this is exactly the kind of insanity that you want in somebody who has a thankless job like Fryer.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want you to be a little off kiltered and
Yep.
a little insane because if you're good at what you're doing, then I just want you to do it forever.
Yeah. Yep. You want somebody just to love what they do so much that they're thinking, like, how do I make it better? How do I help the customer? No matter what it is. That's the thing. It's been well documented. I came up in the grocery business, and it was those weirdos that just had ideas about getting carts a different way from the parking lot. And at the time, I'm like, just go get the carts. I just need the carts from A to B.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Customer needs carts. And this person's going, yeah, but I got a better way to do it, and it's going to help the customer. I'm like, well, it's hard to get too upset about that because you love those people.
I mean, if that's what you look for, though, is a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how wrong did that Shadeur Sanders interview have to go? Because
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no.
I have a feeling that he probably came into that interview wanting to revolutionize the position, revolutionize the franchise, lift a city on his back, and take it with him to the moon.
I've got a theory, and it's nothing that has been overly. I mean, the big talkers are saying, "Oh, it's racial, it's Dion, it's all this stuff." I don't think it was any of that. I think it was simply he's exactly what we see.
Yeah,
He's a kid that is very confident, that knows in his heart that he's the best guy on the field and that he's going to be the mayor of the city within a year.
yeah.
And that may or may not be how you get the job in the NFL.
But
they might actually want to know if you know how football works.
Yo,
And you might have to actually walk in there and be like, I'm a rookie. I'm an undrafted rookie at this point, and I need to learn the job.
well, that's
right?
Shiloh. Shadeur did get drafted.
Yes, he did. So that's my theory. I think you're right. The kid,
Yo.
Poor kid. And he's talented though. He's
That's
talented.
That's where I do. I feel some pity for him. Like, I mean, you always like to see somebody who's just cocky and arrogant.
Yeah.
Kind of get it. But I mean, time served. Like, he's
Yep.
already had the most embarrassing. Like, hopefully
Yep.
for him, this
Hopefully
is the
the
most
most
embarrassing thing that ever happened to him, and it happened in the most public forum possible.
Yep.
So it's like, all right. And again, he's only 23. So it's just like, I'm not going to dunk on him for, like
Right.
that. But it's, whew.
Do we see a Johnny Manziel situation happening? Is he going to come in? I mean, that's all right. Here's the difference between Johnny. Johnny still had opportunity in Cleveland when he was there. And I'm not saying Johnny because it's in Cleveland, but Johnny was as cocky. I guess Johnny backed it up. He got the Heisman.
I'm about to say
but Johnny didn't have his number retired before he even got to the draft. Each one has
unforced
their
errors. God, so many unforced errors in this narrative. But yeah, I'd say that'd probably be the difference is that Manziel had the physical gifts, and not the brain. I think Shadeur, like with his accuracy and with the turnover numbers that he's had, I feel like he probably has a studying part, but yeah, he just doesn't have the arm, the legs.
Yep.
To extend, like to be a Patrick Mahomes or to be one of those quarterbacks that can be cerebral. And
so, how much do you think Travis Hunter was getting credit? Number 2 overall pick, right? Won the Heisman. Was he getting credit for having Shadeur Sanders as his quarterback and doing what he did? I mean, is there like a thing there that we are like, as the general public, getting that the NFL knows, and they're just like, "Wow, Travis Hunter did all that with this"?
Well, I mean, that was a big thing of why I think the Vikings got Justin Jefferson, because I think everybody was just like, "Oh, well, Joe Burrow,"
yeah,
not realizing that it was Justin Jefferson that made Joe Burrow what he is. I mean, guy would still be, he'd probably be out of the league by now if it wasn't for Justin Jefferson in college.
And he's being saved in the NFL by Chase, or what?
Where is Kyle?
Want to keep your personal number private but still stay connected? With Line 2, you can get a second phone line right on your device with a super simple app and no need for another phone. Whether it's for online shopping, dating, or shielding your main number from spam, Line 2 is an easy way to manage it all. Ready for peace of mind without breaking the bank? Call, text, block, and more for only $9.99. Get started with line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in any app store today. Line 2, your second line simplified.
Shadeur Sanders falling all the way. Would he go 5th round?
Yep.
5th round, and then me, very close. Right under that, not having my own brother.
If I remember right, I think it was the Browns took him. I think it was their 6th pick.
Wow.
So they passed over him 5 times.
There was, and I don't even. It wasn't the was it the 2nd round when they had a pick? Yeah, because they picked first, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the 2nd round. That's not that bad.
Yep.
And they picked somebody else that's like, oh, and then they picked another quarterback.
Yep.
Not long after that, that's when it was like, this guy's in deep.
It did start hitting that point though, where it was just like, think about anybody, it'd be like,
yeah.
I mean, it's worth. I mean, a 5th round pick probably just
100%. Just to see. But I have seen some people talking now that's like, if you were going to take him, you were going to take him to maybe compete for the spot, because if he's going to be your backup, if you legit took him this late, he's going to be a backup or a guy in the room. Is he the kind of guy you want in the room? The guy going, I'm better than him. I should be playing. What's up? And then you got your entourage, and you got your dad, in Colorado. I mean, is that all going to be a thing? Like, that's the noise that
I don't feel like
want.
This is all that unique of a personality trait in the NFL.
Oh, you think that's pretty common?
Yeah.
All right, but it's not common to be in the media and be a headline news thing every day. But yeah, you're probably right. We should talk about Europe. We didn't get to your stories last time.
So, and I feel like these stories they're gonna perk you right back up.
You think so?
Yeah.
What if I have questions throughout?
Yeah. No, I mean,
are you going to be in a scramble here? I never got to tell my stories.
I'll try not to do too much lead up into them, but yeah, there'll be question and answers.
Good, because I like to know.
I mean,
I've never been.
It'll be amusing to me just because a lot of my stories are from a pub tour that I took, which had a tour guide, which taught me all the stuff.
You went to a pub tour?
So this will just be me regurgitating what I heard at the pub tour. So
this is great. I didn't even know you were in a pub tour.
Oh yeah, I know the audience. This is what your audience wants to hear.
This is
the stuff that the 73rd ranked comedy podcast in the United States does not give.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna look up right this second exactly where we're at, right as we're recording here. It's on a Wednesday night. This episode is gonna drop tonight, And I'm going to look up right now. Last I checked earlier today, it was like 73rd, something like that. We're going to see right where we're at. Johnny, you may know this already. He kind of stays on it. But we're going to see. If you listen to Amy Poehler's pod, it's a monster.
No, I don't want to support anybody else on the list.
Good call.
I mean, I don't really listen to yours either.
Yeah, I know. But
First time listener.
First time. All right. We dropped to 88th.
Oof.
That's okay. We're in the top 100 of podcasts in the United States on iTunes. I'm okay with that.
I'm going to give my 88th ranked effort now.
I'm going to try to not let that bother me. It bothers me. But I'm going to try not to, is all I'm saying.
Should I not be writing 88 really large on my notes right now?
You should throw that pen away.
Who gave you a pen?
I didn't know you went on a pub tour.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and it was a guided tour? Was there other people, or was it just
Yeah,
like a
so
private
it
thing?
was probably like 20 people in our group.
20, okay.
So we met the pub tour guy at a just at a railway station, and then he walked us, and he basically took us to 4 different pubs.
But where?
In London, like
London,
old
okay.
London. So all the places that we went to had some sort of historical significance, and he would tell us what we were walking by as we were going through it, and then go to the bar, set it up, and then we'd have time, to basically have a pint or a drink or whatever at each of them.
Wow.
So the first one that he took us to was this gin place, which gin, like, how they have like Beefeater gin, and they have all these like very British names. So I guess like in England, gin went like crazy around like 1800, and it was all getting like bootlegged, and people were dying, like they were getting sick from drinking like gin that hadn't been prepared right. Like basically these people were like making moonshine practically.
Oh, because it was too heavy?
Because there was no regulation on it.
Oh, okay. They were messed up.
So yeah, they had this Queen Anne, that like basically made it illegal to make your own gin, and made it so that the state was the only one that could make it, so that she could ensure that it was safe.
Are you familiar with the chocolate-covered cherry called Queen Anne? Is that related?
I am unaware of a relation on
A lot of people Christmas time buy them at the store. Anyway, go ahead.
My favorite thing about it was that Queen Anne, I mean, she's known for this gin, but she also built St. Peter's Cathedral, which is this gigantic cathedral in England. And they erected a statue up in front of her, or up in front of it. Now, she's not remembered too fondly in England because of her having all this like involvement with gin, and basically kind of like telling everybody, hey, you can't make it yourself. So they erected the statue, and a lot of people in Britain point out that her statue doesn't face the cathedral. She's got her back to the church, and she's facing the district where all the gin joints were.
Isn't that wild that she is like almost shunned and just kind of like pushed aside in the history because of gin? And then today, Ryan Reynolds is celebrated for saving Wrexham due to the money from his gin company. Like, that's insane.
Wow. Just, it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle.
So the first place we went to was a gin place. Now, what was really, really cool about it was it had this giant block of ice behind the bar. And so when you ordered a drink, they would take a chisel out, and they would chisel off the ice from your drink into the actual like glass that they were going to make it in. And so we learned that when they wanted to make ice like 200 years ago, what they did was they would go get ice like in the Arctic, and they would bring it down like in an insulated ship. They would bring it to like London, for instance, and at the gin place, they would create a basement, and they would line the walls with big blocks of ice, and it was insulated from the outside so that ice wouldn't melt. And then to make new ice, they would bring like buckets of water down there, just set them in the room, and the ice that was already in there would eventually freeze it. And then that was the ice that they would use for the drinks.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
How often would they just bring in like the big cubes of ice?
Apparently, I mean, it sounds like, just depending on how well it was insulated, I mean, you might never need to bring it in there because it would just freeze again as long as you kept the freezer door shut.
So it's kind of like bread, like, when they get the dough, like
Yep.
when they get the kind of the starter dough together, once they've created that, you could continue to create, well, that's amazing.
So yeah, that was like one of them that was just like, That makes a lot, like, because I'd always heard that, hey, they got ice from, the Arctic, but if you have to ship your ice from the Arctic, like, that doesn't seem like a very efficient method
No.
of getting ice.
But here's their logic. Well, it's cold up north. What if we brought some ice down? Because we know they have it, right? Like, we don't know what we got here. It's almost like they had to import the ice just to have some.
Could you imagine the tariffs they had to pay on that ice?
The tariffs. It would have been wild. It would have been huge. It would have been one of those things that would have completely destroyed the cold drink industry if that was something that had to happen today.
They're like, there's a 25% tariff on your ice. Crap. All right. Leave it out in the sun for 3 hours. Yeah. All right. Now I got less ice.
Yeah.
I can afford to pay my tariff now.
That's right. That's wild.
So the second
ice is cool.
So the second place we went was this bar. It was called the Cockpit. And its big thing was that it was...
Let me guess. Planes?
No.
Oh.
COCK.
Oh.
Pit.
Like roosters?
Yeah.
Like
it
cockfights?
used to be cockfighting.
Let's go.
So we went into this bar, and it was a very interesting spot because it was kind of at the end. So it was like almost in a triangle like shape. But the area that you drank in and that the bar was in was like basically what used to be the bottom floor. So you would go in on the bottom floor and then you go up a staircase and there was a balcony where you would watch the cockfights. And so what I loved about this was that anybody could enter a cockfight, like, or could put a bird in there. Like, so if you raised a bird at home, or if you had just a really mean, like, rooster, like, you could be like, screw it, let's go.
If you've got a really mean rooster. Yeah. What if I've got a real nice guy, but he's got a mean streak? So what if I had a rooster like that?
You would want to think twice about bringing him in there.
Yeah.
So the thing that we learned was that, they would make money basically based on the house would be taking bets. So people would bet on what rooster that they thought.
Incredible.
And if your rooster won, then you get like a cut or percentage of it. But if your rooster lost, you had to go down in the pit and basically like clean up the pit. Like you had to get your rooster out of there. You had to clean up the feathers and the blood and all this. And if people lost money on it, then they'd be throwing all kinds of stuff, food and beer and, just whatever they had around them, old vegetables. They'd be throwing it down there.
You'd just be shunned.
Yeah. So, like, you had to be pretty confident in winning or else you're just going to be down there, like, covered in garbage, and your bird's going to be dead.
I would need the Shadeur Sanders of roosters to walk in there and know they're the best.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't realize... That's how they didn't even pay for people to maintain the cockfight pit. It was the losers.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Now, I would imagine, like, maybe if you're successful enough, you'd have maybe a guy, maybe you call him Johnny.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd send him down there to clean the bird up. Like, maybe you're not going to dirty your hands on that. But
right. Yeah. Johnny. That's a great name for somebody that does the dirty work.
Yep.
Interesting.
So,
how was the beer there?
It was interesting because they don't have a lot of carbonation in their beer, so it's all cask beer. So when they tap it, like it's not like a keg over here where hey you put the spout on there and the beer pushes itself out. Mm-hmm. So they actually had these big handles like on the bar where they'd have to pull and they'd have to pump by hand the beer out.
Yeah.
So it tastes a little bit flatter than U.S. beer.
My grandparents had one of those like pumps of like well water like in their front yard.
Yeah.
In Iowa.
They should have made beer down there.
And if we pumped it long enough, some water would come out. That'd be cool if beer came out.
Yeah, I mean that was a missed opportunity right there.
Yeah, that would be real cool.
I mean, just pour some hops down there, some yeast, seal up the top.
See what happens. That's awesome. All right, how long in total? This is 2 stops so far on the tour. How long in total was your tour? Like from beginning to end?
It was 4 stops, and the total tour was like 3.5 hours.
So you were moving, like you were going stop to stop, telling stories, grabbing a drink.
Yeah, there's probably only like half an hour.
Okay,
30 to 35 minutes at each bar.
It's not too bad.
But they were all within really quick walking distance.
So between the gin bar and the cock bar, which one was your favorite so far?
I mean, I like the cockfighting one better.
That's cool. I like the backstory behind it.
But I didn't end up doing a gin drink at the gin place, so.
Well, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I went for a straight beer. And
That actually makes no sense. Why? You go to the champagne bar, you get some champagne. Why would you not get gin at the gin bar?
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
You're in Europe.
I panicked.
This is London.
I was
old London at that.
All right. Full disclosure here. I was worried when we came in. I'm like, we got 20 people with us. We only got probably 20, 25 minutes at this bar. Like, I want to get my drink and have some time to enjoy it. So I kind of while we were coming in, I kind of maneuvered my way to the front so that I was the second person that ordered.
Wow.
And so I had 2 other people in my group, and I left them for dead. Like, they were at the back end of the group, and I was just like, I'm not even going to like wave them up to put their order in. I'm going to get my beer, and I'm going to go secure a table. And it was probably a good 10 minutes before they joined me.
That's wild. Did you ever think, hey,
I'm glad they don't listen to this show because
we're in this together, and we're going to, enjoy the moment. We're going to enjoy that we're at the gin bar. We're going to try some gin, and then we're going to move on to the next bar. Probably going to get a beer because, probably be a pub at that point. What?
Survival of the fittest.
That's crazy.
You ain't first, you're last.
Wow, I can't believe Kyle didn't answer that call. All right, where'd you go next?
So while we were walking to the next bar, our tour guide told us a story about something called an ale conner. And so what this is that to put taxes on the beer that was sold, they had to determine how much alcohol was in it. So what they would do in London is once a quarter, these guys would go through, the ale conners would go through, and they would collect pints from all the bars. So they get a pint of beer from every bar, and they put it on this big tray and label it, and then they'd take it back to their headquarters to test it. Now, to test it, what they did was they had leather pants. And so they would pour the beer on a chair.
Yeah.
They would sit in it in their leather pants for a determinate amount of time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it might be. And then they would test how sticky it was when they stood up.
There's no way this is real.
And so they still do this to this day.
Does
I mean,
it
doesn't do the taxes anymore, but they still do the ale conners, like the march of collecting all the pints.
How is that not regulated? For just
it is now, but this would have been back in 1700, 1600.
Okay, I was like, I'm listening to this, and you said it still happens to this day, and I'm like, how?
And that was one of the things that our tour guide was talking about, is that he's tried to get in on this.
Yeah, he wants to sit. And
there's only a certain amount of these guys that get in there, and basically each one of them gets a +1, so they can bring like one guest, because he's just like if you're testing this out and sitting in beer in your leather pants, I mean, that doesn't take, it's not like you're pouring the whole pint out.
Sure.
So you just pour a little bit out, and then
yeah.
After you're done testing them all, you drink some brews with your boys.
Can I tell you my concern?
Yes.
You ever been swimming?
Yes.
Are you ever concerned that somebody's peeing in the pool?
I mean, not really.
Don't lie to me, damn it. I know it's Eric Larson week, but don't lie to me about this. I've thought about it. People are peeing in the pool. I have to try to get it out of my head and not worry about it, but it's in the back of my mind.
I only worry about if they're children.
There's kids in pools everywhere.
If there's kids in pools, then I'm not dunking my head in that water.
Okay. Do you think people are peeing in the beer?
No. Why? You're wearing leather pants. You know how uncomfortable leather pants would be if you peed on the inside of them?
You're sitting in beer.
Yeah, but
they're
it's
uncomfortable.
Leather. It's leather. It's a thick fabric.
This is insane. You're sitting in beer. It's 100% uncomfortable. Now you're peeing in it. All right. Okay. Are you peeing in your own beer, or are you in a communal?
You're not peeing in beer. I don't know why you would pee in the beer.
Me neither. That's my question.
You've got a very paranoid mind.
I'm scared. I just don't understand why you would sit in the beer.
To test how sticky it is.
All right.
To get the sugar content.
Did you try the sticky beer?
No.
Yeah, you were scared. Someone peed in it.
I looked it up after I came home, and it was listed as an urban legend.
Okay. Now
So
the truth comes out.
I do feel like this might have been a fib.
Okay.
Now, there is an ale conner. That is a position, and they do collect pints to test.
You got me good on that one.
But it doesn't sound like the sitting has been very exaggerated.
I'll tell you what. I know we were talking about going to a baseball game tomorrow night. Having some. How much are the beers there now? $1 beer.
I honestly don't know. I just know that they're not like $8 a piece. That they would be.
That they would be
on,
normally,
like, a
right?
normal night.
Yeah. I was excited to go have some whatever they cost beers tomorrow night at the ballpark. I'm sitting here enthralled in your pea beer, and then
There's no pea beer.
you bamboozled me.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's wild.
Hey, maybe if you come to the game tomorrow, maybe I'll sit in beer. Will that make you feel
all right,
better?
That would make me feel better. Just so when they tell you this story, so you said you looked it up when you got home, so they told it as absolute fact.
Yeah.
When you
yeah.
all right, I could buy into that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you had enough of it. You were like, that can't be right.
I looked it up while we were on the trip.
Oh,
I think
did
it was like that night. I was just like,
That can't be
this
right.
doesn't seem right.
I would have felt the same way. I'm like, why wouldn't they be peeing in it?
And then it was,
that's-
it was listed as like, this is,
Yeah. Wow. All right. What was the last stop on the tour?
So the last place was the oldest bar in London. It's called Ye Old Cheshire Cheese.
How big is it?
It's a decent size.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's built in the 17th century, so it was like 1600s.
So do you think it was built big because back then there's just not a lot of bars? So that when they build a bar, they build a big one.
So the thing about it is like when you went in, it's very dark, very stone. Mm-hmm. But it had like all these separate rooms. So it had like 4 separate like bars pretty much that were like in it. Now all of them like individually, each of them would be pretty small, but like together they were pretty large.
Yeah.
There was a basement down there that also had some seating. The basement, you went downstairs, like, so it had burned down at one point, like in the 1700s, and they had to rebuild it. So when you went down the basement, you could still see some of the charred timbers.
Really?
But the weirdest thing is like, all right, so I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
Like I'm going down there. They have like up to use the bathroom. That was where the bathroom was. And it was one of those things like I could not stand up in that basement. Like, so I'm like standing at the urinal, like with my head like tilted, crunched down, like felt like a giant.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Is 6'4" what you tell people, or is 6'4" what the doctor measures you?
That's what the doctor measures me at.
Incredible. What do you tell people you are?
6'4".
Oh, you just stick with the facts.
I mean, I have no reason to lie.
Interesting.
I
You just
thought-
told me this whole tale about leather sitting in beer, and yet you have no reason to lie.
So at this Ye Old Cheshire, Charles Dickens used to drink there. Mark Twain had been there.
Man, Mark Twain, he's from Missouri,
Yeah.
and a lot of his time spent in Missouri in the United States. What would take him to London?
Yeah. I mean, it was for literary capital.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I think I don't know as much about London as maybe I thought I did.
I mean, it's pretty much the New York of like Europe almost.
So I know nothing, basically.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
My notes aren't the best. I don't have the name of it, but the guy who wrote the original Webster's Dictionary, apparently he would go and drink there. And he had basically like a corner, and he would work from there.
Yeah.
So he would be thinking of definitions for the words. He was basically the guy that,
So just one dude made
picture.
it all up?
Yeah, so then he would just be like, well, the definition of picture is, an image or that. And they said that sometimes, he would ask, the bar, like, what the hell's a raven? It's a bird. It's a black bird. Okay, great.
That's like the ultimate bar chatter from the random local in the corner.
This would be like Cheers. This would be like Norm and the postman sitting in the corner, having just the most upper echelon intellectual conversation.
Who's ever been in a bar that has had like the random locals that just have just the craziest things to say, or you're a regular at a bar and you know people like this. Like, they just have these random shit. Webster from the Webster's Dictionary was that guy as he wrote the dictionary. That's crazy.
But my favorite is one of the rooms that you can go into. To the right, they have a parrot. And the parrot is stuffed. That's dead.
Oh, good.
But the parrot's name is Polly.
Makes sense.
And this parrot was on a pirate ship in the Caribbean and was purchased by the bar.
All
and
his
then
tracks.
lived at the bar for like 20 years. And so the parrot apparently had really foul language. Like, it would curse and it would yell at people and it would do all kinds of stuff.
Well, imagine
Great attraction.
It's upbringing in a pirate ship and at a bar.
Yeah. But like a great attraction, all this stuff, like people would, come to see the bird. Well, the location of this bar is right by something called Fleet Street, which is where all of the London-based newspapers were. And so the newspaper guys would come to this bar, after work and talk about the day or talk about the stories, interact with Polly, grab a couple pints. But it was all these competing newspapers would go in there. So that's like one of the things about them having different rooms is they would put each newspaper's group in a different room. Because there was so much competition, like you didn't want to lose your scoop to somebody else. So this was a way of like separating them. So when Polly died, there were over 200 obituaries wrote for this parrot.
Really?
Yeah, because
of all the
it was
newspapers.
world famous because everybody that came through London that went to go visit one of these newspapers, that was probably like you're from Delhi in India? Yeah, we're going to take you out for a pint over here at ye old Cheshire Cheese.
Wow.
And you're going to hear Polly, but like they had a whole bunch, like they have a wall where they have a whole bunch of them framed, and it's like the Baltimore paper, the New York paper, the St. Louis paper, like all these papers from the United States even were writing about Polly, the parrot, at the Cheshire Cheese.
Do you think that's where Polly won a cracker came from?
So our tour guide would not confirm that. So
okay,
and
that's probably a common question.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, he was lying about the ale Connors.
Yeah.
Or apparently lying about them.
Right.
So
interesting. Man, 200 obituaries. That's 15 more than O.J. Simpson got.
Is that a fact?
That is a fact. That is a fact, and you heard it here first on Laugh With Me. That's incredible. I read them all, by the way.
Which one was your favorite?
About OJ?
Yeah.
The one where they talked about his football career and being a movie star and his, just his personality and how he was just, everybody loved being around OJ and like, oh, that's the juice. Oh, yeah. And then, he killed those people.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the one that said he didn't do it.
Well, I here's the thing. I know a lot of people think he did do it, and there is a book that he wrote that says I did it. That's the title of the book. You're right. Here's the deal. A jury said he didn't. That's all I've got on it. The jury said he didn't, and the man was let free. So that's all I know about Mr. O.J. Simpson.
Well, ended happily ever after.
He really did. That was a sweet pub tour, though.
Right?
Like, and each one. So, all right. So the 4 pubs. What's the distance between the 4? Because you said you walked it. So what's this? Is it on one street? Like, what are we looking at?
Maybe like a mile and a quarter or something like total.
Insane that the history.
Yeah.
All within that 1 mile.
So I actually bought to the guy at the end is he came around looking for tips.
Looking for tips.
Yeah, I mean you could tip the tour guide.
Was this a free tour?
No. You had to pay for it. But the other thing he was selling was a book that him and his group had put together, the tour guides that was detailed all their favorite pubs in London and gave like a rundown of their history. And so I surprised even myself because I ended up purchasing the book.
Oh, have you read it?
I have not. I've gotten probably about a quarter of the way through.
Nice.
So now it's kind of like, well, crap, now I need to go back. I'm reading about all these places and all this history.
Yeah, go check it out.
need to go back.
How many books have you read this year?
Probably a dozen. Probably about 3 a month.
Oh, really? Would it surprise you that I've read one book so far this year?
Did you finally finish Jurassic Park?
It's on my list. It's on my agenda.
You've already started it.
Yeah, like 12 years ago.
Brent?
Actually, longer than that.
Braden's read it by now.
He has read it by now. Yeah, he has actually.
Oh.
It's on my agenda to complete the book. But I did read a book to completion. My goal for the year is 10 books.
Wow.
I read that one book in January, and I'm like, I'm on pace to smash that. And I haven't read one since. So
you need to borrow the pub book?
I've got books. Like I'm still buying books, and then I'm not reading them. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I buy more books than I read in a given year.
When I moved into my most recent place, I counted, and I think I have like 18, 19 books, like hard, like paper books.
Yeah.
That I haven't even like cracked open.
Are you a library guy, or do you read on your phone?
I've never done the library, and that's my problem right now. That's really screwing me over is my phone.
Oh, okay.
Because I went on a trip a couple weeks ago, and I had already finished my paper book that I brought. So I was just like, "What do I got on my phone?" And so I started reading that. Well, it was a book I already read.
Yeah.
That's not doing me any good.
That doesn't help you with anything.
Yeah. So when I say that I've read all these books, I mean,
Yeah.
probably 4 of them have been books that I've already read.
It's like watching a rerun of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's fun, but I've already been there. It's not like I'm watching a new episode of
God,
Righteous Gemstones.
I might have to go watch some Seinfeld after this. That actually sounds pretty.
Doesn't that sound good?
Pretty good.
Europe, man. When you going back?
It's actually getting to be about that time where
Start thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, you always by the time you leave Europe, like it's time to go home. Kind of like Vegas.
Yeah.
Like you get to the 3rd day in Vegas, and it's just like, why? I'm here for another night. Like, do I have to be?
Exactly.
Like it's
going home.
Like I want to go home, and you do reach that point in Europe where you're just like, all right, it's been a week. I'm tired of. It's fantastic. It's relaxing. I'm having beers and eating out and stuff, but I'm just tired. I'm tired of even having to think about like where to eat or what to eat or
Yep.
like what I have to do or where I have to be. Like I just want to be home. But once you get about 10 weeks after that, then the rose tinted glasses come on, and you're just like, God, I mean, I can't go to Europe for any less than 10 days. Like it has to be 10 days. If I'm gonna make the commitment, I have to stay long enough to justify the trip. And God, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time on this last trip. I should have stayed 14.
I saw you right after you got back from the trip, and I said, and you did a lot of walking, right?
Yeah.
You're just walking and walking and walking. I said, you look like you lost some weight. Like, you slimmed up from all the trip. How do you feel from then to now? Do you feel like you gained weight?
No, but I've kept up my walking regimen.
Did you? So that's a thing. So like that could be a good way to you should write a book, a weight loss plan on how to lose and maintain your weight. And it's going to Europe, things to do in Europe, and then post Europe.
Yeah. It's great because I figured out this really great leg workout while I was over there.
High stepping? What are you doing?
Well, first I put on leather pants.
Shoot, leather pants.
Then I poured some beer on a bench.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Hey, maybe I pee when I sit down. Maybe I don't.
Now that I know that it's a hoax. I was seriously like, there's no way. You were
thinking that could be a career choice for you.
Oh, yeah. I'll sit in some beer.
You're over here. You're like, how do I move the family to London?
London. You sit in some beer.
Especially since you have a brother that doesn't love you anymore.
He hates me now.
Yeah.
What did I do? What did I do?
You gotta get off this continent, man.
I wished him happy birthday right away this morning. You saw the text. I said it in the group chat.
Yeah.
I said it right away. And then he turned it on us saying we're old.
Yeah. That's why I didn't say happy birthday to him.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
This day is really taking a turn. I mean,
really?
but that's why it's Eric Larson week, and we're here. We're celebrating Eric Larson. It's his birthday on Saturday. We're going to have him on for a couple episodes, and we're going golfing on Saturday.
Boom.
You got any last words on Europe?
No. Let's turn the page.
You're ready to move on from Europe, finally.
Yep.
You've been trying to keep your mental space still in that world of Europe for weeks now, so you can tell your stories.
Yep.
Now you can finally breathe.
You know how when we were kids, like,
Barely.
slideshows were a big thing.
Oh, yeah,
People would
yeah.
get the projectors, they put the slides in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and they'd show it.
Yeah.
Like, my parents keep bugging me to, like, they're like, oh, well, hook your phone up to the TV. Like, let's see your pictures.
Oh, no.
And it's just like, I mean, combined between the three of us that went, I probably got like 500 pictures on there.
But how would you... I guess it's easier than I'm thinking.
You could share it on there, but I just have
yeah.
like the nightmares. It's just like, well, these pictures aren't going to be interesting. It's going to be me smiling in front of Big Ben, the clock. It's going to be me smiling at, But if I have to give this level of detail, that can take all day.
I'm actually bought into this now. I think we need a slideshow of the pictures, but we need all three of you together. We need a group of these pictures, and we need you guys just talking about these pictures, because each one is going to be so random and only special to you in that moment. It's gotta be.
I bet say you'd have to get the facial expressions on video, because there'd be a lot of eye rolling when I'm talking.
Yeah, that's so funny that they're like, come on. Did you send them any pictures while you were there?
The folks, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they saw what you wanted to show them.
I felt a little bad. I had some family in town here this other weekend, and I kind of came off the top rope on them. And I was just like, I sent you guys a text while I was in Europe that I was very proud of.
They didn't respond.
And you guys didn't respond it. And they were just
Wow.
like, you didn't send us anything. And I was just like, I will find the text. So I went back on my phone. I found the text. Had the red exclamation point next to it, not delivered.
Wow.
So I had this genius text that was supposed to go to them while I was in Europe,
And it
never went.
never
And
sent.
I held it against them the entire trip. I was just like, well, they didn't respond to the first one.
Yeah.
Why would I give them? I'm not going to throw more money at the bad.
It should have been you 2 years later being like, wait, we haven't heard from Eric in years.
I did think about just forcing it through and just resending it.
Yeah.
But there were some people, like family members, that weren't in the area. That would be. It would just lead to more questions. Wait, is Eric in Europe again? Like, what's happening?
But that would have been even better.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what are you going to do other than live and learn? Next time you're in Europe, make sure your text send.
There are Hooters in Europe.
Is it really?
Maybe I'll go with you over there.
Okay. Go with me. What am I doing over there?
Wearing leather pants.
I'm not wearing leather pants. This body isn't built for leather pants.